on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Here they come, y'all. Here they come.
What is the world coming to? Seems like everyone is running from the truth. We just stand up and fight, walk into the light. We're the people, we can do it if we try. I know we can do it. Somebody asked me, why do we have to go through it? It's just the test of our faith. What we're living day to day. We don't know where, we don't know when, but it's coming back again. Oh, yes it is. It's living. Oh, God. It's time for you to return. See. I know.
Here we are, Truth Time, once again with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. The doctor is in the house. Dr. West, so much is going on. I don't even know where we're going to start. We're going to talk about a plethora of things today, mainly linked to Trump, or maybe even, and by extension, our global immorality in the United States of America, run amok. But Doc, you in the house. What's on your heart and what's on your mind?
Well, I first want to say it's always a joy to be in dialogue with my dear sister Nina, I'm telling you. But you're right, though. These are times. There's no doubt about that. And, what comes to my mind is what happens to a society when it normalizes its gangster activities and naturalizes its thuggish proclivities. And by gangster activity, what I mean is the strong feel that they can crush the weak with no accountability, no answerability, that they can say and do anything and get away with it. And at the same time, they can act as if they ought to be rewarded for their gangster activity. Now, you see, the history of Black people in the United States has been the history of a people who they attempted to niggerize us. And you niggerize a people when you view them as less than human, less beautiful, less moral, less intelligent, and then want to be rewarded by your superiority by gaining access to all the success and benefits of the niggerization. And so we had that for 244 years. Then after we break the back of the slavery, here comes neo-slavery, which is nothing but thuggish activity. All this is in the name of the law. It's in the name of the Congress. It's in the name of the Supreme Court. It's the name of most of the white churches. So we just would simply want to say to Black people and to oppressed people, all people of goodwill, don't get down and out when you see Trump's gangster behavior. Don't get down and out when you see the Republican Party's thuggish proclivities. This is in no way new. We just have to fall back on resources, spiritual, ethical, political, economic resources, so that the niggerization, so that the gangsterization, so that the thugifying activity does not crush us. Because that's what Trump is attempting to do. And Trump, of course, is a sign and a symptom of the gangster activity and thuggish proclivities. You see that it was in place historically for a long time. He's simply riding the back of the worst and the underside of the American empire. That's why his hero was McKinley. Who was McKinley? Annexed the Philippines, annexed Cuba, annexed Guam, annexed Puerto Rico. What is annex? Imperial imposition and incorporation. They killed 500,000 Filipinos in the war against the Philippines. U.S. soldiers, echoes of Vietnam, echoes of what's happening in Gaza right now with the Israeli troops mediating U.S. money, U.S. equipment, U.S. military might against Palestinians. You see, that's the empire at work. And I think what we need more than anything else is to be able to see clearly, to feel deeply, and to get our spirits up, buoyed up, so that we don't cave in. You see, they're trying to break our spirit. That's very much what is going on, as well as, attack the humanity and bodies of so many immigrants out there who were scared, and they hardly draw a distinction more and more between the undocumented, the documented, the legal, and the illegal. You say, wait, what's going on? Well, 1 out of 2, the folk they end up trying to crush may end up being citizens themselves. Then they attack birthright citizenship itself, going back to the 14th Amendment. And we're going to talk in our teaching. We're going to talk about the 14th Amendment, how that was geared toward Black folks trying to define what it means to be a citizen, because the country had never raised a question until they had to define who we are, because we certainly weren't citizens. No, we were subjected to barbaric slavery and so forth. So that, when we see this normalizing of gangster activity, there's all the talk about law and order, and we believe in law and order, and you got folk who kill policemen being now celebrated, invited to the White House. Oh, I thought you had a commitment to law and order. No, it's only a certain kind of law and order for a certain kind of folk. Oh, I see. Well, that's not law and order at all. That's gangster activity. And we have to be consistent and constant in saying over and over again, we will not make gangster activity normal. It is pathological. And if everything becomes pathological, we'll just still call it pathological, because it's wrong, it's immoral, it's unjust, and nothing is going to stop us from standing up for vulnerable people, poor people, Black people, gay brothers, lesbian sisters, precious trans. They're all made in the image of a loving and almighty God. And as a Christian, nothing in the world, nothing in this world will ever convince me to turn an indifferent face and turn my back on people who are being degraded and people who are being talked about and crushed and exploited and niggerized. Nothing ever will stand in the way, or nothing will rationalize not being in solidarity with them. And that's one reason why we need each other so much, Sister Nina, because you can't do this by yourself. You got to have folk in your corner.
No, absolutely not, Dr. West. We cannot do this by ourselves. And the summation of the doctors in the house, we must not despair. We must keep the faith. As Brother Tavis always says, keep the faith. I'm going to add to that. We must keep the fight for justice. We cannot get weary in well-doing. How they normalizing gangsterism. You know what? When we come forward, we're going to continue our discussion about that and some of the things that President Trump has already done via executive order that is being lauded. And a lot of this stuff is just absolutely dead wrong. And we got to have the courage to call it out. You are listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Speaking truth to power and to the powerless. This is Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner. Now that Donald J. Trump has begun a second term as president, please join the Empowerment Congress and KBLA Talk 1580 to examine the question, where do we go from here? Chaos or democracy? at the Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science. This Saturday, January 25th, some of LA's top elected officials, Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove, Assembly members Isaac Bryan and Sade El-Hawari will be on hand for what promises to be a lively and informative conversation. Doors open at 8 a.m. The general session, moderated by Tavis Smiley and broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580, begins at 9 a.m. The event is free, but seating is limited. Registration is required. Go to the Empowerment Congress website at www.empowermentcongress.org to register. Where do we go from here? Chaos or democracy? Join the Empowerment Congress and KBLA Talk 1580 this Saturday, January 25th. Doors open at 8 a.m. The free program starts at 9 a.m. Registration is required at www.empowermentcongress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel, because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
To thine own self be true. More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner coming your way right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
We count it all joy to be with you today and you to be with us. Doc, you were talking about despair. Want to bring that in. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome. We're so glad you're here. For those of you who have been with us since the beginning, we are so glad you are here as well. So like you mentioned, though, you teased up, so we might as well go on all the way. I don't know if you know, you put it out there, our little teach-ins. So we might as well go ahead and tell the folks what exciting news we have for them. But starting in February, the first Thursday in February, to all month in February on Thursdays, Dr. Cornel West and I will be having Teach-In Thursdays. You do not want to miss it. So every week during Black History Month, exclusively on Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, we will teach in, baby. And it is time. Don't just scratch the surface on Black history. We need you to go deep. And we need you to level up. What say you, Doc, about that? I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. The two professors coming. I get to put my professor hat back on.
Well, shoot, all I learned from you and we learned together. But in times like these, we need an anchor. And you got to have a grounding, a pillar. Spiritually, it ought to be a power that can sustain you. I got Jesus, but other people got their thing. Culturally, it's got to be the best of your history. Personally, it's got to be the memories of your mama and your daddy and your father and your uncle and your coach and your granddad and grandma. And intellectually, it's got to be figures who exemplified at the highest levels of excellence, a connection of the life of the mind to the struggle for freedom. That's why we love W.B. Du Bois. That's why we love this sister right here, Toni Morrison. Let me just show you, let people see Du Bois too. That's why we love this sister here, Lorraine Hansberry. That's part of the teachings that we're talking about.
Yeah,
So it's
cannot
our
wait.
ancestors and the quick, and the ways in which they provide us pillars when at our back. And then for those of us who are Christian, well, Jesus make things all right. That love that can never be crushed, and that joy that can never be undermined or undercut. That's what we need more than anything, it seems to me, in these times where it looks as if just devilish behavior is out of control. That's what fascism is. It's just devilish behavior out of control. And what is devilish behavior? Greed, hatred, contempt, envy, resentment. And when it's institutionalized, it means vulnerable people are subjugated and exploited and degraded.
Vulnerable people actually get hurt. And that is why it is so important to have platforms like Truth Time that's going to speak that truth. I know during Brother Tavis's last hour, he was talking to the editor of the Nation magazine. And, you know, just one of the things he said to her that really touched me is that he hopes that people who do have that moral clarity, and I'm paraphrasing, but people who do have that type of moral clarity really don't be afraid to really speak up and speak out in times like this, because fascism threatens those people, threatens your livelihood, and sometimes lives have been lost throughout the ages because of this type of gangster behavior that you're referring to, Dr. West. And so it is so important, and everybody has a role to play in this. From the greatest to the smallest person has a role to play in keeping justice reigning supreme. So, Teach-In Thursdays, all the month of February, exclusively on Truth Time. You do not want to miss this. Y'all go and tell it on the mountain, send a text message, message in the bottle, whatever you need to do. But let your friends and your frenemies know they do not want to miss these Teach-In sessions. Same time, same station, every Thursday during the month of Black History. Dr. West and I, we're going to bring it as only two professors can. And so I'm very excited about that, Doc. I was thinking about, you know, what you were saying about despair and people giving up, and also us having the requisite both emotion and fight to push back, because we just can't if we just let these folks do what they're doing without pushback, then something is wrong with us. If we're gonna go through this, we got to go through this. So that, you know, the Trump did away with the office of gun violence prevention. Did away with it. If you go put that in to the government website, you'll get a page that says 404 page cannot be found. And I'm just really thinking to myself, how depraved must one be to not want to have an office that focuses in on not action oriented gets you. Now, it's one thing to go in there and maybe survey the place, you know, do an audit, look at the projects, look at whether or not the job is being done based on the name of this department. But it's another thing to go in and just totally wipe it out. And unfortunately, today we had a shooting in Nashville at Antioch High School where two people so far are dead and one is in stable condition already at a high school, while these geniuses done wiped out the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention.
No, but see, already you can see the consequences of what Martin said. It's going to be community of chaos. What we're seeing is chaos. Martin was right about that. But it's a chaos in the form of a structured attack on vulnerable people. That's why I was so proud of my dear sister, the Bishop, Bishop Marianne Edgar Bundy, who was very close to those of us here at Union Theological Seminary. Because, you know, Union Theological Seminary is, in fact, a sanctuary space. It's a sensitive site. And you see the mayor of New York has already jumped on Trump's bandwagon. He's going to help facilitate whatever Trump wants. We say, okay, we see it's not a matter of skin color because he's black as Clarence Thomas, but he's just as a reactionary as Trump when it comes to treating these immigrant brothers and sisters as human beings. You can even have disagreement on certain policies, but when you go hand in hand with the demonization of a whole group of people who primarily happen to be Spanish speaking, you know, they're not talking about the Canadian immigrants. They're not talking about the immigrants from Norway and the immigrants from Sweden. We got immigrants from all of those countries. He's zeroing in on the Mexican border because that's where the poor people are. That's where the people are trying to get some distance from the violence and the poverty. Some of that violence and poverty caused by U.S. foreign policy, with corporate interests pushing people, going hand in hand with repressive policies of the government. United States supporting the repressive policies, supporting coups in Honduras, the way Democratic Party did, which was Hillary and so on. You see, so that we got to be consistent in that regard, and yet. You know, it's something because there's so many things happening simultaneously. That's the thing about it, you see. It's going to wipe out all the DEI. And the DEI may have had whatever flaws it had in terms of trying to make sure that black people get a chance. We've been here for 400 years, and we finally get a chance after about 350 years, and now it just wiped that out. What are we supposed to do? Well, you're going to be married. No, we can't take your word it's going to be meritocratic. Oh, we're going to be colorblind. Quit lying. We can't take your word it's going to be colorblind.
Because it never has.
Exactly. It'd be different if we saw overwhelming evidence, but we know that's not the case. So what are black people supposed to do? Well, we're supposed to respect ourselves, fight for our self-determination, and make sure we defend ourselves and our children, and be open to alliance for other people who are fighting. But most importantly, we have to get our spirit intact. We got too many black folk who really don't believe in themselves. They don't have confidence in themselves. They don't respect themselves and others who look like them. And as long as you don't have that kind of spiritual renewal, you can't have the kind of unity that is required in order to resist effectively.
And even that is by design. However, we are mature enough in our place in this country to overcome what was there by design. We have generation after generation push back on this design, and it is time for us to recognize that we got to push back once again. Another reason why, Dr. West, it is so hard to take them at face value or just to add to this is because this country has never done it. So if you want to talk, there has been backlash every generation that Black Americans have made progress in the United States of America. There has always been a backlash. And you know what? We're not going to give it all away, Doc, because we're going to do this in the teachings, but I just want folks to just look at abolition for a moment. So you abolish slavery, you got the 13th Amendment by way of example. We know there's a loophole in the 13th Amendment as well when it comes to the prison system. I encourage our family and friends and frenemies to go and watch the 13th that our sister Ava DuVernay put out that goes into deep detail about the loophole. But let me put the loophole in the parking lot. So we abolished chattel slavery in the United States of America, and they fill it with something else. Sharecropping, debt peonage. They fill it with something else. Black folks can't be idle with different laws in different states, particularly in the South. What do you mean Black folks can't be idle? We can't congregate. We can't have weapons and all that kind of stuff. What do you mean by that? Idle? We ain't never been idle. We built this country. So our ancestors have put in enough work, you know, if we want to lay this thing out, enough work that if we wanted to be idle, we could be that, but we've never been. But they try to make you feel like something is wrong with you. And I loved in your opening how you talk about how that kind of mentality makes you feel like you are less than physically, Don't get me started, spiritually, mentally, and economically, and will have us believing it. I think Minister Malcolm X once said, you know, these folks that have you loving the person that's oppressing you and hating the other folks. You know, I'm paraphrasing him on that. So we got to get clear about this, Dr. West. And that is another reason why these teachings are so important. We perish from the lack of knowledge that comes from the Christian Bible. But there's another saying that if you cannot say that you love the tree if you don't understand the root, or you got to know from whence you came. Brother James Baldwin, if you know from whence you came, there's virtually nowhere that you cannot go. And so often, even before the bans on teaching our history, Black people just don't know from whence they came. They don't respect it. They don't understand it. It's all superficial. And so you can tend to be led by folks who want to make you feel like your history doesn't matter.
No, that's real. But I tell you, on a cultural level and on a visceral level, 95% of Black folk will respond to a piano solo by James Cleveland. Even if they don't say a word, their body language, their body memory will respond to the rhythms and the syncopations of that music.
And so what you're saying, Dr. West, is in us. It is in us.
It's in so deep in the culture, passed from one generation to the next, no matter how much you hate yourself. When James Brown hits it and Jumbo hits the drums and Stepperfield gets the drummer song, you have some response and you have no control over.
You cannot help yourself when we come forward. We are going to continue this conversation. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
The truth will set you free, but first it might raise your blood pressure.
So I'm not driving you, baby.
More of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. There was a tragic shooting at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee. The incident involved a shooter who entered the school and opened fire, resulting in multiple casualties. Authorities are investigating. Maryland Governor Wes Moore and other Black leaders vow to fight for civil rights during Trump's second term. Moore called Trump's inauguration speech troubling, and House Speaker Adrian Jones says lawmakers are ready to face new challenges. A hearing is scheduled tomorrow in the murder trial of the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. Attorneys for Brian Koberger are asking the judge to unseal records that show how detectives matched his DNA to the crime scene. They're trying to get the evidence thrown out. And Buc-ee's is suing Superfuels for trademark infringement, claiming their cartoon dog logo too closely resembles Buc-ee's Beaver logo. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Boston Celtics are in town this week. They play the Clippers tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Thursday night, they play the Lakers at Crypto.com. Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard is expected to play tonight. He sat out Monday's loss to Chicago to rest his right knee. Leonard's performance has made a significant jump in his last 2 games. He's averaging 21 points and shooting 70%. The New York Jets have hired Detroit Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. Glenn's hiring raises the number of black head coaches in the NFL to 5. There were 6 at the start of the 2024 season. The other 4 black head coaches are Mike Tomlin at Pittsburgh, Todd Bowles at Tampa Bay, D'Amico Ryan at Houston, and Raheem Morris with Atlanta. 4 of the NFL's 32 teams are still looking for a head coach: New Orleans, Jacksonville, Dallas, and Las Vegas. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
I joined the military for my kid and his mom. I miss my son a lot. One of the things with the military is tobacco, but I saw a lot of people try to deal with mental issues. Everyone's vaping constantly. After my first hit of a vape, I was hooked like that. Once I got back home from my deployment, I caught my son trying to hit my vape. That was it. I had to quit.
Californians are beating big tobacco. You can too. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. Sign up for Notify LA on your phone to get fire danger alerts and updates, or check on lafd.org. The Watch Duty app is free and provides wildfire maps and updates in real time. Keep your gas tank full and plan your route in case you have to leave the area. City and county officials are urging you to pack a go bag so you can be ready to leave your home quickly in case of an evacuation order. Your go bag should include a couple of days of clothing, copies of your important documents and ID, money, insurance information, your medications, electronic devices, batteries, chargers, a small radio, and emergency contacts. If you receive an evacuation order, gather your loved ones, grab your bag, your pet food, and leave immediately. For information on shelters for your pets or even your family, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 county-wide. Wearing a mask outside will help protect you from smoke, toxic fume, and particulate matter. If you don't need to go out, it's best to stay home with the windows closed. Getting to know your neighbors is a great way to stay safe, stay connected, and share resources. And Angelinos are stepping up to help. So reach out and find the assistance you need. Mutual Aid LA Network is constantly updating a Google Sheet with mutual aid resources. You can find it at tiny.cc-malan-fire. The earlier you make a plan, the better off you'll be when every second counts. Praying for LA, preparing and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
Dr. West, we were talking about how not to despair, and that even in the analysis of what the situation is, we must continue, we must persist, that there's promise in the problem. You had mentioned Bishop Marianne, so I want to go back to something. So the bishop gave a prayer, just really saying to the president, you got to be the president for all people. I'm paraphrasing her. And then she had the courage to take one step further to say that most immigrants are not criminals. They are neighbors, they work, they pay taxes, that whether they're immigrant or from the LGBTQ plus community, wherever, however they identify, they need you to have mercy is basically what she said. So I listened to it, I watched it, and the camera on C-SPAN went from her to the Trump family and his all of the people that were sitting around him. And I'm telling you, Doc, if looks could kill, the bishop would have been dead right on the spot. I mean, they were so uncomfortable with the words that she was saying. So let's go on and take this further. So now Republicans. So first of all, President Trump is demanding an apology, which is like, not surprised.
From a preacher and a bishop.
And a bishop. And one other thing I want to add, Doc, before you go in, Republican Congressman Mike Collins says Bishop Marianne should be deported after she asked Donald Trump for grace towards immigrants and the LGBTQ plus community. Now, just for the sake of our family that's with us, the bishop was born in New Jersey, and she is a United States citizen. But this man fixed his mouth, to quote my grandmother, fixed his mouth to say that she should be deported. This is the type of depravity, Doc, that you're talking about.
I got deported, and she's a native-born person.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, the sickness just gets sicker every day, though, doesn't it?
It does. And I encourage people to go back who didn't have the opportunity to listen and to watch what Bishop Marianne had to say to the president in real time. But that is the kind of courage and intestinal fortitude, ovarian, fortitude that we need people to have.
That's the truth. But tell me what you think about this, that Anahita and I were looking at the response to our dear prophetic bishop. Because all she'd asked for, just mercy for vulnerable people. I mean, good God Almighty, if that's not following Jesus, I don't know what is. Even Van Jones had to acknowledge on CNN the other day, I'm a Christian. I believe in the least of these. Now, for Van, that doesn't include Palestinians, but it's the least of these in this instance. He's absolutely right. And this is the kind of response. But I noticed with Melania, is that Trump's wife's name is Melania?
Yes.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Yeah. And Sister Melania, she was kind of distancing her away from Trump, because Trump looking all up. She was listening very closely because she just got here too.
That's right. She's an immigrant.
She just arrived as an immigrant too. She's first generation. I also noticed Vance's wife. Vance kind of looking at her. Can you believe she said it? And she's looking at Vance like, turn around and listen to what they're saying. They talking about me. They talking about your children, man. Your brown children. So it's fascinating how even within the same family, we know they deeply love each other and they got a right to love each other. And we can disagree with them on a zillion different things. But when it comes to that deep gospel that's telling a truth about love and compassion and mercy for the least of these, you just don't know where it's going to go, how it's going to land, what kind of seeds are going to be planted or even sprouted.
Yeah, I mean, there's an irony there, right? That there's an irony there. I hope that the both spouses were thinking what you and Dr. Anahita thinks was going through their mind in terms of trying to pull their respective spouses back or give some advice on this. We know that first ladies and second ladies are very much involved in what their spouses do, and they do have their ear. So let's hope that they have enough courage to have that kind of pillow talk, if you will, in terms of letting their spouses know this is the wrong way to go. I am going to go back, since you mentioned that, Doc, just to look a little more closely to see if those two
I could be reading too much.
Were they being more reflective, or were they squirming?
You just don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it is. But the man is going into shock and awe. I mean, this is what is happening. That's why he's doing lightning speed. Another revelation, though, that I want to come from this that we can use on the positive side, because see, here on Truth Time, we talk about the solutions as well as our observations about what is happening in our world, period. But this is a lesson that we can take from this. President Trump and his administration, they coming in blazing. I mean, they coming in lightning fast. They are not talking about bipartisanship. See, juxtaposition that from 4 years ago, when you had President Joseph R. Biden talking about bipartisanship. The Republicans said, we got a mandate, baby, and we coming in. Y'all can't tell us nothing. We got the mandate and we going to do what we can do. I also believe that President Trump is operating as if he may not have total control once the midterms happen, which is totally possible. But what I want to confer to Democrats is that you should comport yourself that way on the good side of the ledger, meaning you are going to govern and act as though the first 2 years is all you got. They didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. They blamed not raising the minimum wage on the parliamentarian. President Joseph R. Biden got with the Congress to deny the rail workers. Remember, I'm old enough to remember when the rail workers wanted to go on strike just to get paid sick leave, and he prevented them from doing it along with the Congress. We had some courageous members of Congress in both chambers who said, oh, heck no, we voting against it. But see, they didn't come in like they had a mandate, even though they controlled all the same chambers that Trump controls now. So the way you use power is this way. We just need people to use it for the good.
That's true. But I think the big difference, you tell me what you think, is that the Republican right-wing folk, they really believe in what they doing. Whereas the Democrats, they couldn't pass George Floyd bill. They couldn't pass John Lewis voting rights bill. They didn't really fundamentally believe. They weren't convicted. All they had to do was talk to 2 senators to push it through, suspend the filibuster to push it through. They didn't really believe in it, you see. And so you got the folk who got devilish proclivities. They believe deeply in it. Then you got folk lukewarm. Well, somewhere I read, I'll spit you out if you're lukewarm. You're going to decide where you're coming from, one side or the other. And that's exactly what I see lacking in the Democratic Party, not just recently, but for a long, long time.
That's a great point, Doc. In the vernacular, they playing in our face. Ooh. See, Democrats were playing in our face, and it's caught up with them.
Ooh.
And that is right. If you lack conviction, see, a lot of what they were doing was just for political gamesmanship, even sanctuary cities. Now, even though it's the morally right thing to do, they were playing. This was a, oh, Republicans, we see you, we're going to one up you. What would have been the better strategy would have been to say, let's come up with comprehensive, humane immigration reform, and let's follow that. Whatever it's going to be, let it be. But it needs to be humane. But instead of doing that hard work, they were so busy trying to one up the Republicans that they lost sight of what really should have happened. And then, as we know, we learn in science, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And so since the Republicans are more gangster than the Democrats, they say, okay, well, we're going to start shipping these folks to your sanctuary cities. And then you build resentment among the native folks in those cities as government tries to ameliorate the suffering by helping them. And then the native folks who've been there all along feel neglected. And in many cases, they were neglected. And then you compound that powder keg with inflation. And you get this bubbling resentment across racial and ethnic groups towards immigrants. Neoliberalism set this up, Doc. I often say neoliberalism kills you slow and neo-fascism kills you quick. And so all of this is brought to us compliments of neoliberalism. When we come forward, Dr. Cornel West and I will continue this riveting conversation about despair and how not to despair, how to keep the fight, and analyzing some of the things that are happening just in the few days, haven't even been a week, of the Trump presidency. You are listening to Truth Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580. To our beloved greater Los Angeles community affected by the devastating wildfires, we stand with you. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, our hearts go out to those who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, belongings, and precious memories. In these challenging times, we're here to keep you informed and connected. For the latest updates, resources, and ways to help your neighbors in need, stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we'll recover. Together, we are Los Angeles strong. KBLA Talk 1580. Your voice, your community. your station. Are you a recent college graduate with a dream of getting a high-paying job in sales? A job where you can grow a lucrative career in multi-platform audio, digital, podcast, social media, and local events, along with world-class training and career growth opportunities. KBLA Talk 1580, located in historic Leimert Park, is currently hiring entry-level account executives for outside sales. Join a team featuring radio hosts Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, Dr. Nee Cordelai Corte, Zoe Williams, and our very own Dominique DePrima. For more information on attending our upcoming career fair, contact SMB at KBLA1580.com today.
Work, 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 work. 88 unread emails? Okay. New credit card? Delete. Congratulations, you've just won. Goodbye. COVID-19 news and delete. Wait, learn about treatment options for COVID-19. Know and go. Okay, kind of catchy. Know that oral prescription treatment options are available for COVID-19 if you're at high risk. And go see your doctor if you experience symptoms or test positive. And forwarding that to mom.
Talk to your pharmacist or doctor if you or a loved one gets COVID-19. Know and go. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now it's our lowest price of the season on our top-selling i8 smart bed. Your best savings, plus free home delivery with any base. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. All Sleep Number smart beds offer temperature solutions for your best sleep. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Truth shall rise again. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, you are. And every Thursday in February, Dr. Cornel West and I are having Teach In Thursdays. We're going to go deep. We will help you to level up during Black History Month. You don't want to miss this. You got 2 professors in the house. Dr. West, the professor of me, is giddy because she misses the classroom so very much. So I cannot wait until we do these teach-ins together only on Truth Time. We gonna have a time on Truth Time.
Oh, indeed, but you make the country your classroom. Every time you step up to the lectern, it's your classroom.
I appreciate that, Dr. West, so very much. So we're talking about despair and how not even in the face of, what did you say, how they're normalizing gangsterism, that we should not despair and we should be ready to fight back because the other side is doing what they need to do. We need to do what we need to do. We also explored what happened to Bishop Marianne and how you got these crazy, and this is crazy, it's ridiculous, members of Congress saying that she should be deported even though she was born in New Jersey. She is an American citizen, which leads me to this whole immigration bubbling up that we have right now, Dr. West. We dabbled a little bit in that, and I get it. People are hurting, and so we look to blame the other. We do need comprehensive, humane immigration reform in the United States of America, but for some reason, none of the recent administrations, from the Bush administration to this second term of Trump, have been willing to deal with this issue in an honest and moral way.
There's no doubt about it. But I just find it interesting that, you see, my Bible tells me you look first at spiritual wickedness in high places. The rulers of the darkness of this world, that's your priority. Of course, we want to make sure we treat our working people here in the United States fairly. You notice Trump didn't say one word about eggs going down. Didn't say one word about inflation. Didn't say one word about workers' rights. Didn't say one word, which is very, very interesting. He talked so much about it, but about minimum wage. I mean, if you're so pro-worker, but you what did they do? The executive order undercut any possibility of minimum wage. So you're supposed to be on the workers' side. Well, you see, neo-fascism wants to act like they're for the workers, but they're really for the billionaires. They're really for the oligarchs and the plutocrats. You see. But I think it's important to always remember that he or she who has never despaired has never lived. See, that's Goethe, the great German poet. He's absolutely right. You don't know what hope is until you've despaired. You don't know what joy is unless you had to wrestle with pain. That's the history of Black people. That's why we ain't into joviality. That was what Kamala Harris's campaign was about, that little cheap joviality. We talking about deep joy. We talking about deep hope, very deep hope. Why? Because deep despair and deep hope go hand in hand. And so when you're feeling despairing, you just don't want to have the last word. You don't want wholesale despair. Retail despair, that's life. Everybody got retail despair.
There's a different type of despair when you done went through something. You can't understand the mountaintop unless you've been in the valley. You can't understand sunshine unless you've been in the darkness. So I get that, Doc. But there are people, again, when I went to Chicago and was with Reverend Jesse Jackson and, they did a Gaza summit with Dr. Jim Zogby. I mean, it was a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was pulled aside by folks from the African-American community who did feel as though, not just feel, I mean, they saw their tax dollars going towards the influx of immigrants that were coming into Chicago. And they also saw schools in their communities being closed down, have been closed down, quite frankly, by Rahm Emanuel. And we will put him in the parking lot. They saw that the things that they needed to have happen in their community not happen. But now all of a sudden, there's money for immigrants. And that does breed a type of resentment that we have to come to face with.
And people have a right to feel that. But the thing is that that's not the first thing you look for. When you look actually at your budget, it's not like they're spending all of this money on immigrants. Most of the money is being spent on corporations subsidized. Most of the money, 62 cents for every dollar, is going to the military outside of the country as well. So that,
but when we come forward, we're gonna finish this. When we come forward, we're gonna finish this fascinating conversation. You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
You okay?
I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now Taxes is 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you didn't file with us last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just do your own thing.
What if I have lots of forms?
All good, all 100% free.
What if I had 3 jobs?
Still 100% free.
What if I once saw Bigfoot?
That has nothing to do with taxes, so still 100% free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now this is taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live, must start and file an app by 2/18.
This is where love and truth meet.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Nina Turner.
I'm back. So much to get to, so little time. We are going to have to come forward on this lively discussion even tomorrow. In my Nina notes, I'm thinking James Baldwin, Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Doc, we got about 60 good seconds. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that I want those who are listening to my voice to have a deep sense of strength and determination. We're going to say it every day, every week, every year. And when you get down and out, just know that you come from a great people. And they have seen much worse than what you're looking at right now. And they kept striding with tremendous grace and dignity.
Grace, dignity, courage. We have been here before, and our mission is so high we can't get over it. Our mission is so low we can't get under it. And our mission is so wide we cannot get around it. We, in the words of Ella Baker, there was more to it, but we who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in justice cannot rest. When we come forward tomorrow, Dr. West, we are going to continue this conversation. You are listening to Truth Time with the one and only Dr. Cornel West and yours truly, Nina Turner, on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. There was a tragic shooting at Antioch High School in Nashville, Tennessee. The incident involved a shooter who entered the school and opened fire, resulting in multiple casualties. Authorities are investigating. Maryland Governor Wes Moore and other Black leaders vow to fight for civil rights during Trump's second term. Moore called Trump's inauguration